Welcome! In this series of short videos, we will look at topics for the PowerBasic Windows compiler. Today we will look at running your Windows graphical applications on Linux Mint. Today we're going to be looking again at running PowerBasic applications under Linux Mint. But we're going to do something a little more ambitious. We're going to be using PowerBasic for Windows in today's video. We have this application here. This is an application I did about a year ago to do a game builder simulation. It's written in PowerBasic for Windows, and it does use some graphical aspects which I'm keen to see if they will still work under Linux Mint. The first thing you do in this application is to load the world map file by clicking on this box here. If you click on that with a mouse, you'll get a list of available maps. Currently, there are 2 world maps. So if we click on one of them and hit open, this will load a bitmap into the application and display it on the primary screen. It shows sea areas in a light blue colour and land areas in green. If we click with the mouse button on any one of these squares, it gives us a zoomed in location. Plus, it displays a 3D map of the terrain, showing the sea areas, the flat grassland areas, and also the mountains. You can move around this map by using the compass at the bottom of the screen. We can move north, we can move east, till we get to the edge of the map, and we can increase the amount of movement. Let's change it to 5 locations. And then we can move quite happily. The way we generate this 3D map is by taking each one of these squares, and each square is translated to the corner of the square on this map. This technique works rather well to display the terrain in a pseudo 3D manner. So now that we've loaded our terrain, we can attempt to process it. On processing the first turn, it will place a number of non-player characters on the board, in this case 50 rulers. If we click on the Process Bulk Turns, it will attempt to process 100 turns of each character. They will move around the board and attempt to take territory. As their little empires get bigger, you'll see the map changes. For example, this character here has all the area surrounding him shown. If we click on the character, it will be shown on the expanded map, and you can move around as you did before. It also tells you that the owner is active in this territory and currently has 44 territories under their control. So you can continue this, and as you do, you will find there will be battles fought all over the map, and the number of rulers will be reduced as each ruler is defeated. And eventually, the map will be turned into a small number of large territories. So we're going to port this application over to Linux Mint to see how it runs. In addition, we'll be attempting to make some changes and recompiling the application on Linux Mint itself. And here we are inside the application running under Linux Mint. If we click on the world map file and load the map we wish to use, it appears all to be landmass. The sea is not showing at all. However, let's go ahead and process a turn. Well, it has positioned all the NPCs quite happily, so let's click on Process Bulk Turns and push it forward 100 turns. And all the characters are moving around the map quite happily and building their empires. So we'll let this run to 100 and then we'll click on one of them to see what's coming up. So let's make a list of the problems we'll have to address. The first and most obvious one is when the world map is loaded. The bitmap file is loaded into this small window, and then we interrogate the pixels on this window to determine which areas are sea and which areas are land. This is obviously failing. Once we process a turn and the bulk turns, As far as the non-player characters processing is concerned, they appear to be moving around the map quite happily and accumulating territory. However, when we click on the global map and we get a zoomed in map showing, the compass area at the bottom of the screen isn't quite aligned correctly. However, the buttons still work to go north, south, east and west. One thing that is showing, if we click on an NPC character, the zoom in should be exactly on the character itself. It's appearing one terrain to the right. So that's not quite right. It's close, but not perfect. So let's go into the code and see what we can fix. We will tackle first of all the importation of the world map. So we will open up the PowerBasic for Windows compiler and we will load into this our source code. And of course we'll need to adjust our font as we did in the last video. Oh, that's better. Right, we can now see what's happening. At the beginning of the application, we'll find there are a number of constants. And there are two constants for the terrain. These were originally designed so we could interpret the colours on the bitmap file. So if we have a look to see where this terrain C is actually used, there is our test. So we are getting the pixel from the location on screen. We are checking the value of that pixel to see what value it is. And if it matches this terrain C, we're saying that is the value 0. So we're using 0 for the seascapes and 1 for everything else. And after that, we then build the mountains. The mountains are only built on terrain which is a value of 1. So I think this is where our problem is occurring. So we're going to try debug to see first of all if debug will actually work in here. So let's put a breakpoint on this line where the pixel is obtained, hitting the F9. And let's try running under debug. So far so good. Just shorten this window slightly. And we'll hit the F5 button to go forward to our breakpoint. And we'll pick the same world map. And there is our breakpoint. So we will do a watch on the pixel variable. And we'll see what value comes back. So there is our value there. And this is a different value to the one we had before. This is interesting. So we want the application to work in both under Windows and under Linux Mint. So I think we're going to have to change the way we actually do this. So let's come out of this and go back to the beginning of the code. And rather than these two constants, let's comment them both out for the moment. I'm going to set up another global. So we now have a new global variable, and we're going to be using that anywhere this is actually used. Right, what I'm going to attempt to do here is we're going to do a graphic get pixel to pick up the very top left-hand corner of this graphic. And we're going to set whatever value it has into this global variable. And then we're going to test the pixel value we pick up against this value. If it does equal that, then we'll assume it's C. So let's try running the application and see if this will work. Well, that looks much better. We're now picking up the land and sea correctly. So this small change appears to have fixed that one problem. Let's just do a zoom in and see if it looks okay. Yeah, that looks reasonable. Let's process a turn. And we'll click on one of the squares. Now it's still offset by 1, and the positioning on screen of this isn't quite correct. I hate to finish this video on a cliffhanger, but as we're now getting towards the 10 minutes for this video, I'm going to finish today's video now. And we'll tackle these other two problems in the next video. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching today's video. Please feel free to click on the link in the description below to discover more videos.